Did you ever wonder whether, with a change in negotiations approach, the Second World War could be even avoided? I'm not saying that with the negotiations you could do magic, but I think you will find this question at least legitimate after you see this video. Hello, it's Žarko. Welcome to Cobblestone Negotiations. As usual, to respond to this question, we need to go a bit further into the past. The root of our hypothesis lies in the negotiation to end World War I, which lasted from July 1914 until November 1918, when the winning countries met in Paris in 1919 at the peace conference to negotiate peace. You probably noticed that I said that winning countries met. So, can you even call it a negotiation if the other party was just at the end presented with the ultimatum? Sign the treaty or face the invasion of allies. Victors were afraid that German negotiators could divide them diplomatically. But aren't negotiations about talking with the opposite-minded people? And I'll probably make a video regarding this about the fact that no is just an opening bargaining position. Anyway, this conference was dominated mostly by four countries: France, Britain, United States, and Italy. As the biggest countries involved in the war since the beginning were France, Russia, and Britain on one side, forming the Triple Entente, against Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire on the other side, called the Central Powers. In 1915, Italy joined the Triple Entente, and the US joined them in 1917. Russia wasn't present at this peace conference, as they signed a separate peace treaty with the Central Powers in March 1918, when they basically exited the war. The main question at this peace conference was how to punish Germany for what they did and make sure that they never repeat it again. They repeated it 20 years later. So, obviously, something wasn't done properly. Of the four dominant winning powers mentioned before, France suffered the most during the war, as the Western Front had been fought in France. So they were the most interested in revenge on the Germans. Britain and the US were milder in their requests, especially US with their President Woodrow Wilson's statement consisting of 14 points to establish long-lasting peace, especially in Europe. Moreover, these two countries had in mind that they would need a recovered, strong Germany as a future trade partner. Besides, Britain was concerned that France would emerge as a dominant power on the continent without strong Germany to make a balance. Italy had its own plans that didn't concern Germany that much, but what remained of the ruins of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, especially today's Croatian coast. It's far from that these four countries were the only to suffer from Germans, as, for example, Romania lost 8 to 9% of total population, and especially Serbia, which was involved in this war since the beginning. They lost between 17 and 28% of the total population. A huge blow to such a small country. The total number of victims in this war was between 15 and 22 million. However, as always, the after-war map of the world was created by the big powers. Nothing strange here. Just to remind you, this is not a history channel, so I'm giving you just a quick overview of the situation. I'm not diving into every detail, but only enough to understand the background for the negotiations. Having said that, I'm reminding you that winners decided not to invite the losing side to the negotiations. I'm referring here mainly to Germany. Instead, they decided to impose on them peace conditions agreed between themselves by the Treaty of Versailles, the treaty that established peace conditions between Germany and the Allied powers. The main clauses of the treaty required Germany to disarm, surrender about 10% of its pre-war territory in Europe, give up on colonies, and to pay war reparations. The amount established for all Central Powers was 132 billion gold Reichmarks, equivalent to today's 442 billion US dollars. Of those, the German part was 50 billion gold marks, of which they actually paid only less than 21 billion. Probably even this staggering amount wouldn't be a problem if the negotiation was conducted differently. The main problem was the Article 231, also known as War Guilt Clause, that stated, "The Allies and associated governments affirm and Germany accepts the responsibility of Germany and her allies for causing all the loss and damage to which the Allied and associated governments and their nations have been subjected as a consequence of the war imposed upon them by the aggression of Germany and her allies." Probably anyone even remotely informed about the details of the Great War, as this war was called, wouldn't see anything wrong with this statement. Germany and her allies were the aggressors, and the rest of the world just fought back, wasn't it? After all, why would the winner take into account how the losing party feels, right? One of the prerequisites for being a good negotiator is to have empathy, but please distinguish it from sympathy. I'm not saying that the world should have looked at Germany with sympathy. However, having empathy would mean in this case to look at this clause from the German point of view, as they saw it as a national humiliation, as something imposed on them to accept the full responsibility for causing the war. Again, I'm repeating, it doesn't matter if you agree with this or not. The goal in negotiation, especially in peace negotiation, shouldn't be to show someone that we are right and they are completely wrong. No, the goal should be to establish a peace that would be respected from both sides and the agreement that would actually be implemented. And this clause did exactly the opposite, as it caused anger and resentment among the German population, which many believe led to the rise of Nazi Party, which subsequently led to the World War II. Of course, many other circumstances like Great Depression helped as well, but the influence that this after-war negotiation had to the rise of Nazis shouldn't be underestimated. With this clause, the winning parties allowed the emotions to get the best out of them, and they failed to respect our 16th negotiation principle: allow your adversary a possibility to save face, which is, when your opponent is on the ground, do not kick him further, but give him a dignified way out. Many times, people would even do things against their best interests if that would be necessary to save their face. So, do not push your enemy into a corner, as his only way out would be to fight with you. Although this topic could be seen as a bit outdated, history repeats itself, as we are witnesses of many wars, even today. So let's try to learn something from this and always treat our adversaries with respect. After all, you never know if, or even better, when the tables could turn. The good news is that it seems that great powers learned that lesson, as after World War II, the winning side did not try to punish the whole German nation, like after the Great War, but only the responsible individuals. How much they succeeded, that's a completely different topic. If you enjoyed in this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.